Bill Gates owns more land than all of the entire city of New York. Jeff Bezos' land is double the amount, clocking in at 420,000 acres. John Malone, the largest private landowner in America, owns 2.2 million acres all by himself, a landmass slightly smaller than the island of Puerto Rico. America is enormous, yet 100 of the richest and largest private landowners in America own 1.86% of all the land available in the United States, the majority of their land being forests, ranches, and farmland.
Video is heartbreaking, showing thousands of dead cattle.
Yeah, that video has gone viral, being shared on Facebook more than 50,000 times. And now the Kansas Livestock Association says what happened is devastating. KX's Eli Higgins joins us now in the studio. And Eli, this is obviously horrible. So what happened?
Yeah, Kitty, well, cattle die from weather around this time every year. We're told any one of last weekend's weather events wouldn't have been a problem. It was the combination of several things at once. Shocking videos like this spread like wildfire Wednesday, claiming a heat wave killed these cattle in southwest Kansas. And headlines like this claimed more than 10,000 head died. It left many people wondering if it's even real.
I have seen some of the videos around, and it's, again, it's certainly not something that you ever want to see or something that you ever want to deal with.
Turns out it is real. Scarlett Higgins with the Kansas Livestock Association says while she doesn't have exact numbers, thousands of cattle did die from heat stress across an area near Ulysses.
Okay, so in about 3 seconds, I'm going to show you a list. Now, what this list shows is all the food processing plants that have either been burned or destroyed here in the US over the last 18 months. And as you can see, the list is pretty extensive. In fact, there are over 35 of them throughout the country. And it makes you wonder, why is this happening? And is this the reason for the food shortages that we've been experiencing here in the US and also the entire world? Now, some other questions that may pop into your head might be, is there someone looking to intentionally destroy these food plants to make the food shortages worse? And also, considering that most of these food processing plants were centered around meat, we have to ask the question, was this part of a bigger plan to decrease meat production so that companies like Beyond Meat and other alternative meat products can gain an edge? Considering that there are men like Bill Gates who heavily invested into these companies, which, by the way, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But regardless, millions of Americans have asked these questions across many different platforms. Even Tucker Carlson spotlighted this issue on his show.
Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire.
So I decided to do some digging myself, and honestly, what I found was pretty typical. Media outlet after media outlet was pretty much pawning this off as a conspiracy theory, dismissing all the instances of all these food plants being burned and destroyed by saying that many of these were reported as accidental and not the work of an arsonist.
Welcome, family, to another edition of Stranger Thinking Media, where we bring you the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, to address the problems of the modern world. So, stay tuned. We have an awesome show for you today.
These sickos want to control your life, your spending habits, your freedom, and they want to experiment on your body and your mind. No, this is not Alex Jones crazy stuff. This is really happening. And to help me expose the truth, I have Seamus Bruner with me, the author of Control Oligarchs. Seamus, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephen. I'm thrilled to be here.
So as I went through your book, I realized, some of the biggest, most well-known billionaire names alive today, these people are involved in nefarious behavior, and most of it stems around trying to control our spending habits. But in order to do that, they want to control every aspect of our life, the way we speak, the food we eat, whether we enjoy meat, the medicine that we get injected into our bodies. So I want to go through this. Now, you're the director of research for the Government Accountability Institute. What is that?
That's right. So the Government Accountability Institute is a nonpartisan, nonprofit think tank we kind of stay under the radar, led by famed investigator Peter Schweitzer. And so we follow the money. That's our motto around here. And typically we're following the money into the politicians' pockets, whether it be via their campaign contributions or special interests, lobbying money. In the case of the Clintons, they had this gigantic Clinton Foundation charity. And so I sort of cut my teeth on the Clinton investigation. What I do is sort of nerdy, boring stuff. I take the foundation's 990 IRS filings and I put it into a spreadsheet, and I sort and filter and try to figure out who's paying these politicians all this money and for what. And yeah, with the Clinton investigation, we found some pretty shocking stuff. But after that, I mean, we did a Jeb Bush investigation that was, back a number of years ago. I did a book on the FBI and the DOJ and the corruption there. That was a 2018 book called Compromised: How Money and Politics Drive FBI Corruption. Found that James Comey got a $6 million payday from Lockheed Martin at the same time that Robert Mueller, then FBI director, was giving Lockheed Martin $1 billion FBI contract. And so it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel if journalists would just follow the money. So for this investigation, the control oligarchs, as I call them, that would be the billionaires and bureaucrats plotting and scheming to dominate every aspect of your life. We followed the money all the way to the top. We followed it to Davos and to the pockets of Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, George Soros, and found, I mean, this was really, it started in the pandemic. We saw, what is Bill Gates, he's supposed to be a software guy and a big philanthropist. Why is he all of a sudden everywhere telling all of us how to live our lives, and that we can't get back to normal unless we do what he says? Of dollars to their personal net worth, their companies exploded in value, companies like Meta, while everybody was locked down. Your kids were getting dumber while they got richer. And so that was sort of infuriating for a lot of people. But what really blew me away was not just that they were getting rich, because it's not a problem to make money. This is America. You can make money by making a product that people love to use. But what the real problem here is when they use their enormous amounts of wealth to control our lives. And so we found, just shocking example after example of the different industries that these guys are taking over or have taken over. I mean, the information control from companies like Google and Facebook, and the censorship and the propaganda and the mainstream media. So we could go on for a long time about all of this stuff. But yeah, it was a big undertaking. It took 2 years, thousands and thousands of documents and obscure reports, a lot of stuff that's been scrubbed from the internet. And it's all put together in this book, which has got over 1,000 endnotes, really thousands of sources. So it's all the receipts are there.
Wow. Well, I can tell you why many journalists don't go after these people. Bill Gates gave the media divisions $300 million to ensure that nobody talks bad about him, that they don't talk bad about him, that they don't investigate him. They literally were, being defenders on his behalf because the money was so flippin' lucrative. So we're going to get into that a little bit. But my wife and I just spent the last 4 days with some of the smartest business owners in the country down in Phoenix. And one of the themes that emerged during the conference was how these evil people like Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, how they are trying to control us. And I was privileged to get to personally meet presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Because of connections I have and being in journalism. And he spoke openly for over an hour about the massive corporate capture that has happened, and how our government and our lives are actually captured by these big organizations.
And the Rockefeller family was really the prototype. And I opened the book with the Rockefellers and the Standard Oil cartel that got into trouble with antitrust back. It sounds like ancient history, but it's important history because it shows exactly how Bill Gates has modeled his professional transformation. And so Before 1995, Bill Gates did not give a dime to charity, or not according to his family, his father's memoirs. He said he was very, very stingy. His mother would implore him to be more charitable. You're the richest man in the world by the 90s. He's become the richest man in the world. His mother wanted him to give more money away to charity. He would not. And so, I've read all of the family memoirs and also Microsoft employee memoirs. He was a ruthless, brutal guy to work for, forcing people to work around the clock, to get the product launches out on time. And people on the left and right both saw him as such, as this kind of ruthless guy. And that's the type of person it usually takes to build a company like Microsoft. And I give him credit where due. There's some products that are very useful. As I typed the book on Microsoft Word, it's a great product. However, where he rebranded, it happened when the Justice Department starts looking into the practices of Microsoft. And they uncovered a strategy that Microsoft used called Embrace, Extend, Extinguish. It was alternately called Embrace, Extend, Exterminate, where Microsoft would enter into an industry, they would extend their reach within that industry, and they would act like, oh, we're not making any waves, we're just here to be a equal player, equal playing field. And then they would extinguish the competition, or exterminate the competition. I mean, the words that Microsoft executives used was, we need to cut off the air supply, end quote, to our competitors. Microsoft is a big player in this artificial intelligence space, which the book gets into how dangerous that can be and will be, and is happening right now. And so, yeah, the Embrace, Extend, Extinguish strategy, I'd be happy to tell you how it works both in the food, in the health, and the information space.
Yeah, let's do that. If you could just briefly on each of those, that would be really helpful for my audience.
Sure. So, with Microsoft, it was the internet browser industry that the DOJ prosecutor specifically identified. And so Microsoft makes the Internet Explorer browser. We're just going to be a player in this industry. Then they extend the reach of Internet Explorer. They put it on every single PC. It's a mandatory piece of software that comes with all computers. You'll see that recurring theme about mandatory things, but and then they extinguish the competitor. They cut off Netscape's air supply by pushing for regulations, by pushing for standard changes so that you wouldn't be able to play a video on the Netscape browser, but you could play it on Microsoft's Internet Explorer. Same thing in the agriculture industry. Everybody's sort of heard about how Bill Gates is buying up this farmland, and they just have a bad feeling about it, but what the heck is he up to? He's not just buying up the farmlands. Other people, you've heard about his investments in these fake meat alternative protein companies like Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods. But then he's got some more obscure investments into new synthetic fertilizer companies and genetically modified plant technologies and seed technologies. It's kind of weird to think about food as like a technology, but that's how Bill Gates views it. And patenting, by the way, is a big theme in the book about how a patent grants the patent holder a 20-year-long monopoly on various technologies. So seeds are now patented, protein chains, fake meats, they patent the proteins. And Bill Gates only invests in companies like Beyond Meats and Impossible Foods after they've received their patent approval, aka the monopoly granting them the patent. So that's the extending the reach. He buys up more farmland. He buys up more food companies. He invests in big, agricultural machinery companies like John Deere. Huge investments in John Deere, near $1 billion investment in that. That's huge. John Deere puts, by the way, software into their tractors now, so that farmers can't really repair their own tractors. They have to get the software upgrade and a new license for their tractor. But that's the extending the reach. He's in every facet of the agriculture industry. And right now, we're now in the extinguish or exterminate phase, where he starts putting the farmers and the competition out of business. And how does he do that? He pushes for regulations, climate, under the guise of saving the planet, such an ambitious goal, such an ambitious guy, under the guise of saving the planet. All the other competitors need to go out of business. The farmers, who nobody knows more about sustainability and health, having a clean environment than farmers. They've been doing it for generations. They don't want to pollute their soils or ruin their environment. That would kill their business. Nonetheless, they can't use the fertilizers that have been working for generations. They can't use Cows are next to be banned. I mean, the country of Ireland is preparing to slaughter tens of thousands of cows on Bill Gates's altar of climate change. So, we're in the extinguish phase now. Just go ask any farmer if their business is getting more profitable or less profitable. I mean, you already see family-owned farms, generationally owned, family-owned farms going out of business. It's a tragedy.